حي الصلاة حي الصلاة حي الفلاح حي الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله سيدنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم صل على محمد في المسيح الحق حدد صلاة المسلمين وعلى آله أقرب الله أكبر سبحان
Brothers and sisters, could you please put your cell phones on vibration and turn them off because a lot of them are home? Thanks.
What's the day in my brother? السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر
الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله على كل حال. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له، واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى اله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. يا ايها الذين امنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن الا وانتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن الخير الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. We began by seeking the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the rejected shaitan. With the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. All praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask for Allah's guidance. We ask for Allah's mercy. We ask that Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us from the burden of our evil deeds. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the evil that perhaps resides within us. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to guide us. We know that whomever Allah guides, no one can lead astray. And whomsoever Allah leads astray or allows to be led astray, no one can guide. I bear witness that there is no God worthy of being worshipped except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his messenger, is his noble messenger and servant. We, alhamdulillah, gathered here today for this beautiful gathering, and it is only by Allah's invitation that we are here. And we should be grateful and thankful. We know that amongst Allah's servants are those who were given the will to be here, but not the ability, or others were given the ability to be here, but not the will. We should be grateful and thankful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, has gifted us with both the will and the ability to be here today for Salatul Jumu'ah, alhamdulillah. Furthermore, we should be grateful and thankful that we are not here as individuals, that we are here alongside community, deliberate about building community with one another. We see in front of us, to the side of us, to the right of us, to the left of us, to the back of us, family members, an extended family that supports the family, the nuclear family within the household. So we should be grateful for the privilege, this blessing of being able to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together as a jama'ah, as a community, as a collective. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Today, alhamdulillah, we want to gather some lessons and review a beautiful occurrence within the Quran in hopes that we begin to understand this life that we're living in, the year that is passing. There's much that has taken place in this particular year of 2022, and we ask Allah make 2023 a better year. Ameen. But whatever has occurred in 2022, it is by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should be comfortable and content with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. So in the authentic prophetic tradition mentioned by Imam al-Bukhari, he mentions that Musa alayhi salam, he got up to deliver a speech to Bani Israel. And after delivering this beautiful speech, perhaps the individual that asked, the one who was questioning, the questioner, became impressed by this speech. So Musa delivered this speech, and the questioner asked, he says, who is the most learned amongst the people? Perhaps being so impressed with the speech of Musa alayhi salam that he's wondering, is this the most knowledgeable that's in front of me at this particular moment? And Musa was at the same time being tested, and his reply was, Ana, I am. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Musa alayhi salam a lesson, right? He didn't refer it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahu a'lam, Allah knows best. He said Ana, he said I am. And perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to test Musa at that particular moment. It was revealed to Musa as mentioned, فَأَوْحَى اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ إِنَّ لِي عَبْدًا بِمَجْمَعِ الْبَحْرَيْنِ وَأَعْلَمُ مِنْكَ. It's mentioned that Allah revealed to him at the junction where the two seas meet, there's a servant of ours who has more knowledge than you, who has more knowledge than you. And Musa didn't run. Sometimes we run from those who perhaps have more than us. We don't want to share the same space. Musa said, where is he? I want to meet him. I have to meet this particular individual. We learn from the Quran, in the Quran, we learn that Musa was not amongst the most knowledgeable, nor was he the most eloquent. We're not in the positions that we're in because we're the most knowledgeable, nor the most eloquent. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the biggest qualifier. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed Musa and gave him the status that he was given. It wasn't based on the level of his knowledge, nor was it based on his eloquence. Harun, Afsar Amin, that Harun was more eloquent than Musa. His own brother was more eloquent than Musa. So Musa was given the status because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the status. And the lesson that we learn, there's always someone more beautiful than you, more handsome than you, more muscular than you, more knowledgeable than you, more degreed up than you. How threatened we feel when the similar other, who has the same background, the same skin tone, the same history, but has more degrees than you, that has memorized more Quran than you. How threatened we feel when we share space with these individuals. So Musa, right here, he was being tested. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ حَتَّى أَبْلُغَ مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ أَوْ أَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifully mentions, behold, Moses said to his attendant, I would not let up until I reach the junction of the two seas or until I spend years in travel. We have Musa, he's traveling with Yusha bin Nun, a younger companion of Musa. And here we learn that Yusha bin Nun, he later on became a leader of Banu Israel, but he was under the tutelage of Musa. That Musa was training the younger person under him to one day take his position over leader of Banu Israel. Similarly, you have the Prophet ﷺ example of Usama ibn Zayd, Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Abbas, so on and so forth. You have Yusha given the assignment of holding the fish, right? And Yusha also was amongst those who were constantly watching the movement of Musa, and he eventually dropped the fish. He forgot about the fish. For us, let the young people hold the fish. Give them access to the training of leadership. That what type of leaders are we? We're not passing the knowledge down, making sure that whatever field that we're in, we're training younger people amongst under us, that people are receiving that type of training. So the key to success that we see is that the beautiful company of Musa, how it enhanced Yusha bin Nun. You know, the mother of Imam Malik, she would dress Imam Malik like the scholars and send him to the circles of knowledge and say, go learn from their manners before you learn from their knowledge, right? Go watch how they conduct their manners, how they conduct their affairs, right? So we see that our young people should have access to the people of knowledge, sending them around good company, right? So they can learn and their Muslim identity can endure this onslaught of what they are receiving out here outside of the masjid. We see right here also Majma' al-Bahrain, that where the two seas meet. Some of the scholars say this is where the Indian Sea and the Red Sea meet. We have another opinion, more esoteric reading of this. Majma' al-Bahrain, where the two seas meet, is where the knowledge, where knowledge is, and the two seas are al-Khidr and Al-Khidr and Ilyas, right? Individuals who are known for their ilm. We can't go into that. That's for another occasion. Yes, but we're just brushing back that there's more interpretations to this idea of two seas. And Hukuba, that Musa was willing to travel, some say 80, 70, 80 years or a lifetime for knowledge. Now, what are we willing to do in order to seek knowledge? We see the example of Musa alayhi salam. The commentators say that they traveled, they took the instructions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they traveled to where the two seas meet. And there was a spring called Ain al-Hayat, the spring of life. And they fell asleep there. So Yusha, he's holding the fish, and it says that a drop of water from this particular spring got access to the fish, and the fish came to life, and it went into the water, and it swam away. And Yusha forgot that this occurred. So they continued to travel. And then the next morning, Yusha says, I forgot to tell you that we lost the fish. We lost the fish. And the instruction was that that's where you're going to meet the one who's more knowledgeable than you, is where when you lose the fish. So Yusha, he says, as mentioned in the Quran, I indeed forgot the fish. None but shaitan made me forget to remember it. And this is a lesson for us, that shaitan is there when you're on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaitan will always be there to distract you, so you can forget the path that you're on and what you're there to accomplish, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there, Yusha said that shaitan caused me to forget. So Musa said, let's go back to where we lost the fish, where you lost the fish. And they returned, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, فَوَجَدَ عَبَدًا مِّنْ عِبَادِنَا. Then we found one from amongst then they found one of our slaves. آتَيْنَاهُ رَحْمَةً مِّنْ عِنْدِنَا. We gave this individual mercy from us. وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا. That Allah mentions that we taught him knowledge from us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just breaking down this idea of rahmah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave al-Khidr utmost compassion. That they say there was three things that Khidr was given. Ni'mah, which is blessings and comfort. Ta'ah, obedience. He had utmost obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And tul al-hayat, a long life, a very long life. Al-Khidr, or as some call al-Khadr, that he was called al-Khidr because he sat on a dry piece of vegetation and it became green under him. So it dried up, then became green under al-Khidr. So he was given this title of al-Khidr. So he was given knowledge that Musa did not have. So he tells Musa, he says, I have knowledge that you don't have, and you have knowledge that I don't have. And they interpret this as al-Khidr, he's given knowledge of the haqiqah, or the things that are hidden. The things that are hidden, the hidden reality of things. Musa was given the outward sharia, right? The outward knowledge of things, and al-Khidr is given the hidden knowledge of things. For us, this is very humbling. Sometimes we think that we have the outward reality of things and the inward, the hidden reality of things. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may have given us a hadith to quote, or an ayat of Quran to quote, it doesn't mean that we know the exact interpretation of that particular ayat. And there may be another type of knowledge that is needed, another tool set that is needed in order to interpret. So this lands us at a point of being humble and not isolating. Sometimes we use one hadith and we terrorize our entire household and everyone around us with that one hadith or that one ayat of Quran. No, we don't know. Allah knows and we don't know. Always being in that position of humility. So Musa, he wants to follow al-Khidr. And al-Khidr says some very wise things to him. He said, how can you have patience about a thing which you know not? You don't have knowledge of what I've been given. How can you have patience? And this idea of you don't know everything, right? And this reality of when a musibah or a difficulty occurs, it's difficult to be patient with it because we don't understand why it occurs. When we lose something, we don't understand. It's hard to be patient with it because we don't know why we're losing it. When we run into a very tragic situation, a loved one passes away, we don't understand it. We don't know why it occurs. That here, we're learning patience. Musa and Khidr, they're teaching us patience, right? So Musa's like, let me follow. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be patient. Let me follow you, right? And here we learn the beautiful lesson is that every great leader must be a great follower. That Musa, his leadership was propelled to a certain maqam, a certain station because he was willing to follow. How many of us get in a leadership position and we're not willing to have any more teachers? we've reached a certain station and I don't need no one telling me anything. I am the top of this hierarchy, right? And you have Musa with his utmost humility, willing to follow behind the footsteps of Al-Khidr, right? So Khidr, he's saying that there's two things that you have to do. There's two conditions. That you have to have patience and فَلَا تَسْأَلْنِي عَنْ شَيْءٍ. Don't ask me anything. You can follow me, but don't ask no questions, right? You can go on this journey with me, but you cannot ask any questions, right? Me, if I can't ask no question, I'm not going nowhere with you, right? But Musa is trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's going alone. Sometimes we want the answers to questions immediately. We go through tragedy in our life. We go through situations that we don't understand, and we need answers immediately. And we're learning to humble ourselves, that answers don't come when we want them to come. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the keeper of answers, and Allah gives out the answers to whom He wills, when He wills. That we're not going to understand everything that occurs in life, right? So here we see that Musa and Khidr, they board a ship, and the crew recognize Al-Khidr. He's a traveler, right? He roams the earth, so they recognize him, and they allow him to ride. They allow him to ride for free. There's something beautiful that occurs to Musa and Khidr while they're on this particular ship that's mentioned. And that Khidr, he turns to Musa after seeing a bird on the edge of the ship that's drinking from the sea. And he says, مَا عِلْمِي وَعِلْمُكَ فِي عِلْمِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا مِثْلُ مَا نَقَصَ هَذَا الْأُصْفُورُ مِنْ هَذَا الْبَحْرِ. He says, my knowledge and your knowledge in comparison to Allah's knowledge is like that this bird, what the bird has taken out of the sea in its beak. That the knowledge that we have is like what the bird has placed in his beak compared to the entire sea, which is like Allah's knowledge. That I am knowledgeable, but I only have a piece.
Right.
And you're knowledgeable, but you only have a piece. This humble lesson that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the complete picture of things. We've only been given a small portion of it. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the knowledge to whom He wills, right? And He only gives them a portion. That with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lies the complete picture. We only have a doorknob, right? We don't have the whole house. We only have a handle of it many a times. So having that utmost humility when regarding knowledge, right? So right here we see that they're traveling and the boat got out so far, and Allah mentions in the Quran, that Khidr, he destroyed the boat. He pulled one of the planks of the boat, right? And it damaged the boat. He took a patch out of the boat. Musa couldn't believe it. You know, one thing that we have to look at, that Musa has had experience with water already. He was already, his mother put him in the sea, right? When he was stranded, he was in the sea. He already had experience with water. We don't know what type of trauma Musa had with water. So Musa, he's panicking. He's like, what has happened? You damaged the sea. You damaged the boat, and we're in the middle of the sea, right? You damaged the boat. What are we gonna do? I mean, you see this loss of patience in Musa. This loss of patience in Musa. So Musa couldn't be patient. That you see that the easiest thing to forget, patience all throughout the Quran, sabr, all throughout the Quran. And what do we forget? The first thing we forget is patience, right? Allah is constantly reminding us, and Allah ma sabirin, Allah is with those who are patient. And what the first thing, when something occurs, what is the first thing that we forget? Patience. And here you have Musa. How difficult is it to stay patient with the occurrence that you do not understand, right? So we have right here where Al-Khidr, he said, did I not tell you that you would not be able to have patience with me? Patience is the easiest virtue to forget. And we need to constantly be reminded to have patience. Alhamdulillah, I have a father who's constantly have patience, be patient, be patient, be patient. And I need that has been so helpful for me in life. So the best companion is the companion that reminds you of patience. The best companion. So we have right here, they set out until they encountered a young boy. And Al-Khidr, he killed him. He killed him. Musa had experience with death before. That Musa, before he unintentionally killed someone, what type of trauma did Musa have when it comes to death like this, seeing someone die in front of him? A lot of times we try to run from our trauma. We try to run from our trauma, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us platforms in order to deal with our trauma. And you can't deal with your trauma unless you run to it, unless you address it, unless you speak about it. And here Musa's placed in a position where he has to face the very thing that perhaps he developed the fear in regards, is this type of killing. So he's like, you killed an innocent boy. You didn't just kill him, you removed his head in front of us, in front of his friends, in front of people, right? You killed him. And he lost patience, right? He lost patience again. And he says, قال لم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. He said, did I not tell you that you cannot have patience with me? So Musa apologized and said, I'm going to have patience the next time. I'm going to have patience. And they ran into a wall. They encountered a wall that collapsed. And Al-Khidr restored it. He restored it. Without being asked, without taking any payment. But Musa, before that encounter dealing with Fir'aun, his people working for free, doing labor for free. And he had to face this type of occurrence right here. He's like, no, seek payment. I've seen this before, perhaps. I've seen this before, perhaps. Sometimes we think we can run from the things that place fear within us. Not realizing that in order to really overcome it, you have to face it and deal with it. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's putting Musa in a position where he's training him. This is the university. We're reading about a university greater than any university. That Musa is being taught by the top professor, Al-Khidr. Which in turn we're sitting down learning the lessons from a top professor, better than any Harvard curriculum, anything. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us a beautiful lesson right here, that we have right here, where they proceeded when they came upon this town. So they had the wall collapsed, right? And they restored it. And they asked for food. The people didn't treat them right. Right? The people were abusing them, right? And here they fixed the wall for the people. Musa didn't understand it, right? And then he lost patience. And this is when the Khidr, he says, Hada firahu baini wa bainik. He said, this is where we part, me and you part. I told you not to ask questions, here you are. I told you to have patience, you don't have patience. You can't just roll on this journey, right, and just gather from the wisdom that I'm giving you without losing patience and without asking questions. So we see the beautiful occurrence right here in regards to Al-Khidr giving Musa the interpretation before parting ways. And he says, as far as the ship, the damage of the ship, Khidr said that we damaged the ship. We made it faulty on purpose. I made it faulty on purpose because these individuals, these poor people, they will pass by a king who's an oppressor. And if the ship is not damaged, the king will want that particular ship and will rob these people. But if we damage the ship, it's going to make this particular ship unattractive to this oppressive individual. we learn that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with the poor. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with the masakin. He's with those who are in need. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these poor individuals, challenged financially, challenged in regards to resources on this ship, that Allah sent Khidr to them. That Allah is always with the poor. That Allah never abandons his servants. He never abandons his servants, especially those who are left in poverty. And here the interpretation, he says, in regards to the boy who was killed, he said this boy was destined to give his parents a hardship, right? He was destined to be a disbeliever. From the day he was created, he was destined for that. But his parents were believers. And we feared that he would grow up and become very oppressive and rebel against them. And he would cause them deep sadness and grief because of their disbelief. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them another son. Will take their life, take his life and give them another son. That here we learn that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes from the believer and always gives them better. That when the believer experiences loss, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always gives them better. That Allah closes one door only to open an even greater door, always for the believers. And we learn here from the interpretation of the wall that was prepared for free, for no charge. As for the wall, and for those in the community, volunteerism has to step up, and we learn how to volunteer and do things for free for El Khidr. I'm just going to drop that there, right there, right, in regards to our community. So we learned that from El Khidr, who is our professor for this particular day. So we have right here, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we learn that he sent Khidr in regards to this particular wall. This particular wall. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in regards to the wall, under it was the treasure that belonged to boys. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to protect the treasure. And he wanted to do that because their parents, they had lost their parent, but their parents were righteous. That their father was a righteous man. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he protected the children of this man. He protected them by preserving this treasure because the individual was a righteous man. So parents remain on the path, sirat al-mustaqim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes it troubles us seeing the path that our children choose. But we don't know when Allah's mercy is going to come raining down in regards to our children. So stay patient and stay on the path of belief, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow that to transfer into the guidance of your children. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our parents and our children. Say Ameen. What we learn from all of this is that everything has a higher meaning. Everything that occurs has a higher meaning. Every musibah, every type of tragedy, every hardship that happens has a higher wisdom. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reveal to his servant that is patience. That Allah will reveal to his servant that is patient. And everything that happened in 2022 has a higher meaning and a higher purpose. And all we have to do is be patient and allow Allah to reveal the wisdom of why these things occur. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, I want to close this year by thanking you all and your contributions to community, to beautiful, beloved community. I want to thank you all. I enjoy having a beautiful year, seeing your beautiful faces, alhamdulillah, your contributions. We can't do justice in regards to our thankfulness, but however, at least saying this, we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow you all to be of those who accept our thankfulness, our gratefulness as a community. That a community is nothing in regards without the people. Like, this is just a facility, it's just a building. The building is nothing, the facility is nothing without the people in it. Alhamdulillah. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We had a beautiful 2022. We went into this year, the 9th year for Islam Academy, over 60 students for school, alhamdulillah. Before that, COVID shook us all up. We thought we were going to have to close, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us another beautiful year. We had our 9th year Islam Academy. In regards to, we had a financial literacy camp that served over 30 children, teaching them about cryptocurrency, teaching them about stocks, something I didn't get when I was younger. We had that in this particular year during the summertime, alhamdulillah. We're grateful for a beautiful 2022. We distributed over 175,000 pounds of food to over 5,000 individuals and households. Every Saturday, alhamdulillah, Sister Munir and others serve the community. Alhamdulillah, we're grateful to be able to serve. We need those individuals who are the recipients of our distribution more than perhaps they need us. And we ask that Allah accept. We thank Allah for a beautiful 2022. We provided housing for over 25 men and women with Islam housing. And we have 4 locations, 2 for women, 2 for men, and we were able to house over 25 people who were either threatened with homelessness or returning citizens who we want to integrate back into society. So we thank Allah for allowing us to do that for 2022, another beautiful year. We also provided 250 free therapy and counseling sessions. When we talk about the community, all of us, we need to get healthy psychologically. That all of us was in counseling this year. We provided over 250 therapy counseling sessions. As a community, we are not afraid of therapy. And we can't put everything on the imam. The imam is not a trained therapist. Let me make that clear. The imam is not a trained therapist. So we provided trained therapists for the community. We distributed over $80,000 in zakat funds. And those who were threatened to be out on the streets because their rent's not paid. We came there, we tried to help, and we thank them for giving us that opportunity to help. Those whose cars broke down this year, we were able to help them by the leave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need them to be recipients more than us, and we're grateful to be able to serve in this capacity. Those students who needed books for school, we are able to provide and help them with that. We need them to be recipients more than us being able to give it out. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be able to help. So alhamdulillah, we had a beautiful year. Every Sunday we were here, alhamdulillah, studying. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a beautiful 2022. And 2023 is going to be even a better year, alhamdulillah. It's a beautiful community, and it's beautiful because of the beautiful people in this community. And I'm grateful for you all, alhamdulillah. I wouldn't trade in my position for anyone. They have imam positions all around the country, but I'm in the best community. Islam, there's no institution like Islam Academy. And it's not because of no non-profit status and all that. It's because of the people who make up this beautiful community. So we're grateful and thankful to be able to be in community with you all. And I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you all safety, grant you all happiness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you all a beautiful life in this world and in the next. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are raised up in the next life. And we talk about the times that we had together in this life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all of you all Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant your children Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put beauty in your household. May Allah protect us all from shaitan. May Allah give us a beautiful 2023. And we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us safe, keep us healthy, keep us psychologically healthy, keep us physically healthy. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله تعالى يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله تعالى وأعلى وأعز وأجل وأعظم وأكبر وأقيموا الصلاة.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.